Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video on the channel. Today we're going to be taking a look at the top 5 brawlers in October 2022. There's been a couple balance changes, also a ton of new brawlers that are doing really well in the meta. Let's see who the top 5 is. And of course, just before we jump into the top 5, we did win the last monthly final of the year, which puts Tribe Gaming EU, my team, at #1 in the whole of Europe, Middle East, and Africa. I'm going to be going to the World Finals in Paris, which is in like a month's time-ish. So yeah, that should be pretty fun. But just before we get into the top 5, starting off with a couple honorable mentions, starting off with Sam. Sam, obviously the second newest brawler in the game, incredibly strong, one of the best tanks in the game, probably the best tank in the game right now. So good, as long as you keep that super. Can be used incredibly well. And yeah, Sam, really hard to counter now, even with stuff like Gale and Shelly. The next honorable mention goes to Griff. Griff is still incredibly strong, really good obviously at breaking up the map and then being good against tanks, and just being really well-rounded against a ton of different matchups. And the final honorable mention goes to Janet. Janet, of course, continues to be very strong in this kind of aggressive meta, even with the recent nerfs a couple balance changes ago. But before we get into number 5, today's video was sponsored by Diablo Immortal. The first major update, Forgotten Nightmares, is here. Forgotten Nightmares introduces all new endgame story content via the new Silent Monastery dungeon, which is exclusively for players above level 60. There is also the new Castle Syringa, which once conquered can become the home for your warband. Also, the new Season 5 Battle Pass, Scions of the Storm, is here, which includes 40 ranks of challenges and rewards. And of course, there is so much more to explore in the new update, so make sure to go ahead and download Diablo Immortal using my link in the description. And let's get back into the video. Okay, so coming in at number 5 then, we have Poco. So Poco continues to be incredibly strong in this meta. Still, of course, really good when paired with brawlers like Max, paired with tanks, in particular tanks like Sam, because Sam's obviously really good right now. But yeah, used to be able to counter Poco with Crow. Obviously, you can't really do that anymore because you can just run the second gadget for Poco, and that's going to counteract those slows. Yeah, definitely you should be playing Poco in Gem Grab, Brawl. Thinking about playing Poco in some heist maps or some bounty maps, those shooter range maps, not the open range maps. You definitely don't want to be playing Poco on maps like Shooting Star, but definitely on like center stage and those kind of shooter range maps, Poco is going to be an excellent pick. Okay, so coming in at number 4 then, we have Gus. So Gus is obviously the latest brawler in the game, and Supercell decided to buff him. So yeah, with 3 buffs, buffing his base attack damage, his super recharge rate, and also his reload speed. So 3 pretty big buffs made him one of the best brawlers in the game. Incredibly good when paired with like Poco comps, honestly, and also just can be such a great support brawler with that super, giving your teammates a massive shield. Really helpful. The shots are pretty easy to hit, and then you obviously have pretty decent damage, really good range, but then you also have a really good gadget allowing you to get extra damage when you need. I feel like Gus has it all, an amazing brawler, and yeah, definitely not a brawler to sleep on right now. Okay, so coming in at number 3 then, we have Max. Of course, Max continues to be one of the best brawlers in the entire game. So versatile. Going to be used on pretty much every single map, every single mode. Can be used in mid, well, mid most of the time, but can be used on lanes as well. Of course, can be really good, as I said, in every game mode, including like bounty. You can play Max on Shooting Star, Layer Cake in the middle, Shooting Star obviously on the side, and then obviously in Brawl, Gem Grab, some heist maps as well. And yeah, Max, incredibly versatile, really tough to counter. Maybe only countered by Crow, but again, then you can bring in a Poco and kind of counteract that slow. So Max continues to be a very dominant brawler in this meta. Okay, so coming in at number 2 then, we have the one, the only B. So B, of course, very good against tanks, really good range. You're able to counter some of these brawlers in the top 5, like Poco, like Max, of course, can be able to counter tanks, but also perform very well at that medium to long range, which a lot of tank counters do struggle to do. So yeah, B, really strong. The only way to counter B, really, I would say, is to play throwers, but then, you know, you have to be playing on a kind of map with a lot of walls, unlike Shooting Star, maybe on a map like Dueling Beetles. But yeah, B, really tough to counter, and definitely one of the best brawlers. One of the pros' favorite to pick right now, because it's a really safe pick. It's hard to counter, and it's very versatile. Okay, so at number 1, that leaves us with the one, the only Otis, the absolute beast that is Otis. Otis, of course. Through the middle of last month, Otis received some pretty huge changes, increased base attack damage, but also a change to that super, basically allowing that super to do 1,000 damage over 3 seconds or a little bit more with the other star power. Anyway, basically adding extra damage to what was an already pretty cool super, pretty OP super. So yeah, Otis again really has it all. Of course, going to be good against those tanks, because as a tank, you can't be running into Otis because he's going to get super and he's just going to mute you. And once you're muted, you can't do anything. And of course, Otis with that kind of medium to long range is going to be pretty usable on those medium to long range maps as well. It can compete with brawlers like Piper, like B, like Bow, with really, really high damage, good range, and also kind of medium HP, which you don't see necessarily with those kind of medium to long range brawlers. But Otis really does have it all. In my opinion, definitely deserves this #1 spot. That's gonna wrap it up. Like, subscribe, use code Tom. Peace.